Hello, hi everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, someone can just mention in the chat box, am I audible and visible? That would be great. You can just put the emoji as well. Okay, thank you. I'm sharing my screen. Uh, just let me know when you have access. Thanks for the updating. Okay, uh, let me know once you can see my screen. I will just quickly start. I hope you can see my screen. So I will just start with my introduction, who is new and not aware about things is going on for end-to-end ESG reporting and climate series. So I'm Jay Shah. I am 11 years work experience I have and working across consulting, maritime asset management, and various NGO public sectors projects. I worked on the various climate risk assessment, GHG inventories, double materiality assessment, scenario analysis, and implement various reporting frameworks for various corporates, company, governments, based on the ISSB, CSRD, ESRS, and today we are going to see the double materiality process with practical solutions through the Excel templates and how this helps from transitions planning to assurance readiness report work based on the various international frameworks. So I'm really glad that you are here and I look forward to an interactive session. And before we jump into today's sessions on double materiality assessment, I just want to take uh, 1 minute to introduce this end-to-end ESG reporting series. So I introduced this end-to-end ESG and climate reporting series just for my subscriber and the followers who are into ESG, sustainability, and climate field. So I designed this whole 39 modules across the 6 phases that covering everything from foundations all the way through the implementation and ESG reporting roadmaps. So phase one foundation that is covered, we started understanding from the global ESG reporting landscape, core sustainability concept for IFRS S1 and S2. Also the CSRD architectures and ESRS 1 and ESRS 2 that covers under the phase one. So that covers overall conceptual clarity before the touching any kind of calculations. So that is already over, and I'm happy to share those links if you are new to this whole end-to-end ESG reporting series or to new to my channel. Then I will share with you along during the whole sessions. And if you have registered for the module 9 double materiality process, then after these sessions you will get the detailed for all the module 1 to 6 related link. For phase 2, that covers the detailed technical methodology. So GHG emissions calculations for scope 1, 2, 3, double materiality assessment, that is, we are already here. Then we will see the impact, risk, opportunity, and management related modules and so on. So module 7 and module 8 is already live on my channel, and you can go and watch those modules. For module 1 to 6, you have to just comment module 1 to 6, and I will share those links to you so that you can watch module 1 to 6. That is the basic foundations for the any ESG and climate reporting series. Then module phase 3, we will go to from module 15 to module 19. That will covers all the ESRS related topical standards, which is EU ECSRS related directive that covers ESRS E1, which is a climate change related topical standards for social standards, also for the governance standards. We will see under the phase 3. Then phase 4 that covers practical sector specific application. So we then apply for to real industries, so including the case studies from energy, manufacturing, finance, tech, retail, real estate, logistic, agriculture, healthcare, mining. That's showing how ESG work differently across the various sectors. And then phase five will be the implementations of advanced timeline for the various scopes. So that covers scope three, supplier engagement, ESG data integrations, assurance readiness for limited and reasonable, and for the digital reporting and XBRL reporting, and also the gap analysis and governance structure. And phase six will be the synthesis for each implementations of final implementation. So we bring everything together, building your ESG and climate reporting roadmap, best practices, case studies, and end-to-end implementation strategy for further things. So the idea is very simple. We move from frameworks, calculations, disclosures, sector use cases, implementations, and then we are going to create a roadmap so that you can do a practical things for your corporate or the government jobs. So this end-to-end series is designed to bridge the gap between regulatory theory and the practical implementations at various companies and sectors. So my focus throughout this whole program is not just on explaining standards, but on showing you how to actually apply them in real corporate setting using by tools, template, calculations logic, and audit-ready methodologies. That few of the templates I already shared for module 7, module 8, and few of the for module 1 to 6. And today we are going to see the double materiality assessment. Also, before we continue, I will sharing all the template and calculation spreadsheets and supporting resource inside our ESG and climate analysis group that is on Instagram. So I'm sharing the Instagram page and the group link. You can go and join that link. Uh, so here is the group link. Few of the colleagues are already joined my module 7 and module 8. So they already part of this group and other part of the channels and other LinkedIn group and WhatsApp group we do have for the various opportunity I used to share for ESG, sustainability and climate community. We are trying to bring together everyone so that they can share their knowledge and pillar to pillar capacity building that can be happen. So now this is where I'm going to share all the updates and other stuff. So if you don't want to miss any templates or future session updates, follow me on Instagram, that Climate AI Lab, and also join the ESG and climate analysis group today. So I will also use this group for share reminders and other stuffs for module announcement and other stuff. So let's quickly go to the double materiality process. That is the today's topic. So we are going to mastering the double materiality assessment after the whole 1 hour sessions. We are going to see the 30-minute sessions on the actual process end to end, and we will also see the actual practical example into the Excel templates so that you can understand better that how the financial materiality and impact materiality can be calculated, and by merging all the stuff how it calculated through the double materiality assessment. So let's start for that. So, welcome everyone. So, double materiality connects the two worlds, that is, impact on people and planet, that can be part of the GRI. Few of the acronyms I'm using right now for the standards and frameworks because it's important. If you are not ready for these acronyms, just go to watch my module 1 to 6 where I explain all the terminology and acronyms for the various timelines, various standards, various framework, all the ESG landscape. So that is important to understand. The double materiality connects impact on people and planet. The second one is the financial risk and opportunity, that is part of the IFRS or ISSB side. So most of the companies treat this separately. So this frameworks, which is a double materiality assessment, I will call as a TMA. This framework shows how to integrate both into one unified process. So the goal today is very simple. By the end of this sessions, you should clearly understand what double materiality is, why it matters, and how the practical implement it for the various companies, various corporate companies across the globe. And I will show you the step by step for your organizations so you can implement on that side. So the agenda for today's things is very clear: understanding of the double materiality assessment, process of double materiality assessment, then calculations of double materiality assessment, how it can be calculated, because it's not a qualitative assessment; it should be the quantitative assessment as well, and based on that only you can decide your risk. So we will see the practical analysis and the calculation in the Excel sheets template, and also the web-based analysis. Nowadays, AI is available, so you can also do that web-based analysis. I will also take one sessions on that, how you can do the web-based double materiality assessment separately. So this is from the compliance to competitive advantage. So this double materiality is moving from reporting to strategy. So historically, sustainability reporting was treated as a tick box exercise earlier, but today over 77% of top multinational companies already use the GRI. Now even the governments are also using the GRI, TCFD, ISSB, CSRD, ESRS, and other kind of frameworks and standards for the various sustainability reporting works. For example, in UK government, in developing country, in India as well, Mumbai is also using this kind of impact related reporting works to implement various types of stuff on ground. And about 50% of report on the double materiality assessment, that 250 largest multinational companies that are already doing those kind of double materiality assessment. So why it is important? Because investors now demand the transparency. Similarly, they are demanding for the financial data. They are also demanding for the non-financial climate, sustainability, and ESG related data. So this is no longer driven only by the CSRD regulations or the EU regulations or EU countries related regulations, but it's driven by the capital market. So every small country, every region, every city, every small corporate companies would should do this double materiality assessment. So let me give one example of one of the manufacturing company that identify the water scarcity as a material. I will explain what is materials for your company or your product. So in they what they have done, instead of just reporting it, they redesign the operations. So they know that water scarcity is the main risk for their whole operations, so they redesign the operations. They invest in the recycling system of rainwater harvesting, and then reducing dependency on the fresh water that supply by the municipal water or the council water and the utilities of private utilities that they have supplied. So they have created their own freshwater catchment area, and suddenly the operating risk is decreasing. Then insurance premium drop. Also, the investors' confidence is going to increase, and that is the competitive advantage for the other competitor companies that they do have. So double materiality helps convert ESG risk into the business intelligence. You can give the different types of examples to the every types of consulting through the consulting companies if you are into that. So you can give various case studies to your clients on the double materiality assessment, which is a very important things. So for double materiality assessment, there is a two lens of materiality that you need to understand. So there is two materiality, which is first one is a impact materiality, which is called as inside out. So GRI, which is a global reporting initiatives standards, are focusing on the impact side. That what are the impact if you are reporting your products and services through the GRI. The second one is the financial materiality, that is called as in a technical word that is outside in. So in a simple word, your products and service is how much impact on planet and people that are part of the impact materiality. And for the financial materiality, how the people planet will impact your product and service or operations. So that will be the financial materiality. So for example, flood is coming up, heat wave is coming up, and your asset or your product or your warehouse is going to be in a danger mode, or it will be the high alert for your asset. So it will impact on your finance. So that is the outside in example. So through the flood, through the physical risk, through the physical climate risk, your asset is going to be in high alert, and based on that asset analysis, your financial sheet is going to be affected. So that supported by the IFRS and ISSB. So IFRS and ISSB is the standard which helps investors and the capital markets to get the data very well in terms of non-financial data, which also affect to the financial data. So what to say for the double materiality combines two perspective. First, that is impact materiality. How does your company impact the economy, environment, and people? As I mentioned, for the impact materiality, that can be the emissions, labor practice, community displacement, all the ethics level policies and other stuff that you created for the environment, social, and the governance that will impact to the people and the planet. And the second is financial materiality. So how do sustainability issue affect your financial performance? For example, as I mentioned, the climate risk affecting the revenue, supply chain disruptions, carbon pricing, increasing cost, the overall overlap of these two, that will helps to create a double materiality assessment. So you have to calculate the impact materiality as well as the financial materiality, and whatever the coincidence between the financial and the impact materiality, that is your strategic spot, and that call as a double materiality assessment, which is a very important part. So now we will see the why double materiality is important and is mandatory. So in EU regulations under the Green Deal, there is a CSRD. Definitely, you might be aware if you are into this professional. So under CSRD, the double materiality assessment is the engine that determines which ESRS topics you must report. So previously, company voluntarily follow the GRI, SASB, TCFD, and if the government has regulated to ask a listed company, for example, in India, the BRSR for the 1,000 listed company. In UK, it was earlier for the TCFD. So that previously companies doing a voluntary reporting work, but now ESRS makes double materiality assessment legally mandatory for the European country and the Europe operation. In similar way, slowly ISSB and IFRS, which is accepted by the most of the jurisdictions, around 27 jurisdictions or 27 country across the globe, they are also going to implemented this double materiality assessment process for their particular reporting work. So here they done mandatory for the various kind of reporting works, but the bigger idea is this: DMA helps you to understand your relationship with the world and not just your balance sheet. So you can discuss with your stakeholders can discuss with you, and it connects impact to the company and to the financial consequences. So this is called as a system thinkings in whole enterprise climate risk assessment. So that is very important to calculate the double materiality assessment, and that is why it's mandatory for the most of the standards and reporting frameworks. So now, as I mentioned, a few of the standards already. Here it's an input universe, you can say, for the CSRD, and CSRD for CSRD. There is a standards called ESRS, that ESRS define a 10 high level topics for environment, for social, and for the governance. So this expand into the various subtopics and various subtopics as well. So the important point is you don't pick topics randomly. You must assess all the topics and material risks through the double materiality assessment, and then justify the exclusions. So if you are not consider the water as your material risk, then you have to define in your report that why you have done E3 water as an exclusion. So that is the beauty of this double materiality assessment, and every corporate companies has to be done for the double materiality assessment for the various types of standards and reporting works that are upcoming. So few of the standards are giving a relief for few years for the few companies, and few of the reporting standards and frameworks are giving a mandatory for the double materiality assessment. So ultimately it's beneficial for your financial consequences, and it helps to understand the impact. So this is 10 ESRS topics that also we are going to see in each and every detail of E1, E2, E3, E4, E5 in upcoming modules. As I mentioned in module 6, we already covered the ESRS 1 and ESRS 2, that is a mandatory standards. So similarly, there is a GRI standard which is help to do a transparency reporting through the impact materiality. So earlier the companies are very much focused on the GRI standards. Nowadays there are lots of other standards are coming up through the jurisdictions requirement. So GRI focus on real world impacts. So it uses three layers. First one is a universal standards, so apply to everyone. There is a common standards. Then sector standards, that is a industry specific standards. So you have to use based on your product and services. So if you are in marine transportations, you can utilize the sector specific industry standard. And then the topic standards, so detailed impact like waste, water, human rights, emissions, energy. Those topic standards is much details for the GRI. So GRI asks for where are you most significant impacts on society and the environment, and based on that you can do a reporting as per the GRI standard. So for example, a retail company may impact a labor conditions in overseas factory. So even if financially small. So that is GRI still considered that as a material. So that is the things for the impact materiality. So if you are planning for the impact materiality reporting work, if your investors or capital market ask for impact materiality, then GRI standard is very much good to start with. And GRI helps you to understand what are the impact on the people and the planet. So this is GRI. Now we will see the IFRS and ISSB, which is more focused on the financial materiality. So financial materiality, it doesn't mean that you have to do a financial modeling and other stuff. It is part of the definitely climate and sustainability reporting work, but that mostly used by the capital markets or the sustainability investors and sustainability finance and sustainability related stuff who are investing in the sustainable projects. So for IFRS and ISSB, ISSB consolidated through the TCFD, SASB, and CDSB. Also, the GRI gave recommendations but not merged yet. So TCFD, SASB, and CDSB. Now it's merged into the IFRS, ISSB into one global financial sustainability framework. So that generates the two key standard, which is IFRS S1, which is a general sustainability risk, which already we have seen in module 1 to 6. Also the IFRS S2, which is a climate specific standard. And for that ISSB IFRS standard, SASB helps here you provide by industry specific financial risk that covers across 77 industry, that's called as a six industry, SICS. So SASB gives the industry level metrics and standards, and ISSB has developed this IFRS S1 and IFRS S2 standard. So this will help you to understand the issue that affect the cash flow, capex, access to finance, or cost of the capital. So this all the metrics and materiality will see by the investors, and based on that they try to invest through the various types of assets or various companies and other stuff. Now we already seen the ESRS, which is part of the CSRD. We have seen the GRI. We have seen the IFRS and ISSB. All the three things supporting the impact materiality and the financial materiality, and ask for the double materiality assessment because it's a very much connect to the capital market, investors, and the people and planets. So for that, you have to understand that how we are going to calculate the double materiality assessment, which is an integrated double materiality workflow that covers the impacts as well as the financial material. So for that, you have to understand each and every steps first. So first step is the context and scope. I divided into the 7 steps for your easy unified process to understand. Second one is a value chain mapping, stakeholder engagement, which is very important step. Fourth one is impact identification. Fifth one is significance scoring. Sixth is the financial overlay, and seventh one is validations and reporting. So this is your unified DMF roadmap for 7 step. So instead of running GRI, ISSB, ESRS separately, this integrate both into one continuous workflow. So some investor ask for your impact materiality. Some investors ask for the financial materiality. Some regulations from governments ask for based on the ISSB reporting work. So you have to do this double materiality assessment that integrates both into one continuous workflow. So let's see the step-by-step process, that how each and every step, what is the meaning of that whole steps and what you have to do. So first step is the context and guidance. So start with the business context. What is your product? What is your service? What is your business model? What is the geography where your operations is available? If you are in consulting companies or big four companies, your client, you have to understand their business model, your geography, their geographies and operations. What are the existing enterprise risk management portfolio? So you have to understand the ERM risk, and then use the GRI sector standards for impact topics and SASB standards for the financial risk. So you can understand for the impact materiality and as well as the various financial materiality related stuff, and ESRS definitely it's a combine of the financial and impact materiality. So here I would advise that aligning sustainability risk threshold with your existing financial risk threshold, so that helps you to avoid the internal conflict later on. So it also helps you to do a projections of your net zero, projection of your revenue, projection for your sustainable revenue. So that is very important to understand the context and the business model. Here for the context, which is I would always mention the silent context and media analysis, which is very important. So in silent context and media analysis, you have to do silent stakeholders. So who are nature. So nature cannot speak, but it can be visible that they are affected by our product or by our service. Then future generations cannot speak. So if future generations of our kids and other kids are coming up, then they are not speaking right now because it might be affected. So you have to analyze those silent stakeholders like nature, future generations. So we can use the various scientific research, that what can be the impact analysis for the future predictions for the nature, future prediction for the future generations. You can do a media analysis through the various news and other stuff, regulatory news analysis. So this builds your preliminary long list for the context and the media analysis. So if media repeatedly highlights the groundwater depletion near your factories or in your country or in your city, so that's a red flag. You have to invest for fresh waters for your operations. You have to do a rainwater harvestings. You have to do a catchment area for those kind of stuff. So those media analysis, which is I call as a silent stakeholder, you have to do those kind of analysis first for the context and guidance related stuff. Then step two, which is mapping the whole value chain. So here you have to understand the your value chain mapping that helps you to understand what are going on. So most of the impacts don't happen inside your office. They happen through upstream, which is through your suppliers, through your operations, which is your existing products and services, that direct activities, and then downstream operations, which is our customers and disposals. So all the stuffs that happen through depends on the human capital, natural capital, and the social capital. So you have to understand the whole value chain mapping, which helps you to understand the overall context for the value chain mapping. So for example, a food companies which biggest emission sits in agriculture suppliers. So they are not aware, and they are just calculating their headquarters scope 1 and 2 emissions, and they are just doing a reporting. But after few of the years, they will understand that biggest emissions comes from the agriculture suppliers, and they are not asking their suppliers to do a sustainable manner or decarbonizations their whole process. So this is the way that you have to understand your upstreams operations, downstream operations, and your existing direct activities. So for that, you can watch the module 7 and module 8 for the scope 1 and 2 and 3 emissions, that how it can be calculated. Then the third is strategic stakeholders. So it is again very important, as I mentioned earlier. So for the strategic stakeholders, DMA is not exercise. So you cannot do analysis by doing laptop work, and in one day the double materiality assessment can be done. It is the exercise to engage your employees, your investors, your communities, your NGOs, and the labor groups. So you can add as much as stakeholders that are involved across your products, across your services. So use the interviews and the workshops techniques, not just the surveys or templates. You have to do a focus group discussion for NGOs, you have to do labor group discussions, or you have to do a employee survey and employee engagement during your offsites or other kind of holiday site. And you have to also discuss with your investors what is the material risk for them, and validate at the end, did we get this right or not. So this is a very much important of the strategic stakeholder engagement. So you have to, I have example showing that different type of stakeholders here. You can add more if I missed anything. We will see in practical that how its stakeholder engagement can be done in Excel. Uh, then we will have a step 4 and 5, which is a significant scoring. Now it's travel from qualitative analysis to the quantitative analysis. We have done the context and guidance, that part of the vision, missions, and the business model. We have done our value chain mapping, which is upstream, downstream, and operation. Then we have done for the stakeholder engagement. We decided that we are going to take a survey. We are taking interviews, this numbers of stakeholders, and now we do have this whole stuff ready. So how we are going to calculate, or how we are going to do a impact scoring and the financial scoring. So for impact scoring, that will covers the positive impacts. So usually that calculations done by the scale plus scope plus likelihood. So scale, it can be anything. Scope, what's your product and service that are covering up. What will be the likelihood, what will be the percentage of that particular risk is going to be happen. So this all positive impact assessment will give feedback by your stakeholders, not by you, but you can suggest the whole process, and then your stakeholders will say that okay, this is the scale, this is the scope, and this is the likelihood for us. For the negative impacts, you have to calculate the scale plus scope plus irremediable characters plus likelihood. And here, irremediable means, can this harm be reversed? Or, for example, flood is coming up, is it reversible or not? If not, then it will be definitely negative impact for your product and your whole operation. So this is a very important overlay for any financial transmission channels that covers revenue, OPEX, CAPEX, access to finance, cost of capital. So that is very important to understand your positive impacts and negative impacts, and what are the irremediable means, that harm can be reversed or not. So, for example, water scarcity can be shut down the factory, and if the shutdown is going on at warehouse and factory, then definitely the job is going to be lost. Your operation is going to be lost. So overall, the revenue loss is been happening. So it's a impact on your financial, its impact on the cost of capital, impact on the OPEX and CAPEX. Now we understand the financial related stuff. We will see this each and every stuff in practical walkthrough in Excel template. Uh, then we have to understand the financial materiality overlay, that how the financial materiality that I mentioned, OPEX, CAPEX, and other stuff. So to assess that, you have to understand the magnitude, which is a size of financial impact. What are the likelihood, which means probability? What are the probability? So every year, for example, in particular part of the USA, every year the flood is coming up. Then if your asset located in the particular locations, then you have to mention your likelihood very much high, your probability is very much high, and the magnitude, which is a size of financial impact, is also going to be very high for every year. So accordingly, you have to see that how those time horizon has been done, whether it's coming every year, whether it's coming 20 years. So you have to decide your time horizon. So important insight is impact today becomes the financial risk tomorrow. So if the flood is coming up, default your assets or degraded your assets, overall the financial risk is going to be after 5 years. So poor working conditions can happen today, and overall the staff shortage later on. So that is the reality of this whole financial materiality overlay, and for that you have to understand the financial risk and opportunity. So that is why the double materiality assessment needs to be done before coming up this physical risk, transition risk of the climate. Now we will move into the threshold matrix, so which is again part of the whole financial materiality mechanism for the impact and the financial score for the double materiality assessment. So here the scoring tools for the outside in risk, which is a financial materiality related risk. So as I mentioned, the time horizon, short, medium, and long. So in USA, if your asset is located in flood prone zone area and you decided it comes under the 10 years, then your short period of time, the magnitude is very low, likelihood is also very low, because it comes every 10 years, not every 1 year. Similarly in medium also, it's very limited, and based on that you can manage your capex, opex, and cost of capitals for the whole 5 years related step. But once nearby your time horizon greater than 5 years, which is a long impact, then it will be much understand of your company's threshold. So you have to documented all the stuffs in financial scores so that you can understand the material risk is for the long, medium, or short term. Then we now develop a charts, which is a very important part. So not material topics. So here we are going to add not material topics, and here it is a highly material topics, which is pointed out by your stakeholders, pointed out by your overall score analysis. So here you have to understand the threshold metrics. Threshold are the company defined and must be documented for the auditors, that how you have defined your material topics for high level, and how you decided for the material for the low consumptions, for the low not a material for your particular process and operations. Then step 6, which is overall entity specific and consolidation. So if some risk that don't appear in GRI, ESRS, ISSB, IFRS standards, for example, AI ethics for tech firms, so this becomes a entity specific disclosure. So then consolidated your final impact, risk, and opportunity accordingly, and you can add this AI ethics as a part of your entity specific and consolidations related disclosure. So that is a very small point but a very important one, if you do have those kind of entity specific material risk. Then we have to map the interdependency. For example, here's the chain reactions, as I mentioned earlier, that water scarcity that generate the community tension, and it do the operational shutdown, which is warehouse or any kind of assets that are coming up through the water scarcity or the drought. So impacts creates a dependency, and dependency creates the financial risk. So that is why the double materiality assessment helps reveal the root causes. What are the causes of whole interdependencies for your value chain mapping? And each and every stuff that we have done, for each and every steps, you have to do a reporting and disclosure requirements through GRI report, through IFRS report, or maybe through ESRS report. So for GRI report, process, stakeholders, and prioritizations, you have to understand. For IFRS report, financial risk, cash flow impact strategy, those kind of stuff is very important for the investors. And the best practice is to narrative explanations of your whole double materiality assessment methodology that must align across your sustainability and financial data. So that is very important to see, and based on that you can calculate each and every score for your stakeholder engagement. And finally, this technology versus manual risk. So Excel creates a version errors. It might be possible. So you have to create a good templates first. There is a no audit trail for the Excel sheets or any documentation. So you have to create a good templates first. High assurance cost that create might be more loss for the revenue if it is not implemented in a proper manner. So specialized tool nowadays available like timestamp decisions, create audit trails through the various AI tools, through the repeatedly available. So the overall result will be the lower audit cost and the higher confidence for the various detailed templates or the web-based tools that is nowadays available. And yeah, you should utilize those kind of templates rather than to do Excel manual work. So the return on investment will be the significant reduction in your assurance or the audit cost. And this new normal is going to be a dynamic materiality. So double materiality is not about only the reporting work. It is about understanding how your business affects the world and how the world affects your business. So companies that master this early will be having reducing their risk, attract more capitals and investment, and build overall resilience programs for their products and service, and creating a long-term value for that. So that is very important. And this whole summary checklist for success I have taken from the cool site, which is again one of the tools that are available, and these things. So overall, it's very important to understand the process of 7 step for all the checklists that you have to understand for each and every steps that we have to do for the double materiality assessment, and that is very important to understand for those double materiality process. So here we have concluded the sessions on the double materiality assessment. I will stop now, and we will take few questions through the chat box. Few of the Zoom and Google Meets, they are also joined in UK. So we will see the questions if you have for the double materiality assessment. So quickly just type on the chat box, and we will have the 5 minutes question answer sessions. So, does the course have certificate for the climate risk related analysis or climate risk assessment related stuff? We do have the certificate. For different kind of modules, have a different certificate. So the short answer is yes, we do have the certifications. Thanks everyone for sure. Yeah, I can see the one question. So the double mentality process scoring is going to be done for the financial team or compliance team. So this double mentality assessment should do the ESG team. And if you are into the ESG climate or sustainability professionals, you can do this whole assessment. If you are into the consulting company, then you have to definitely do this assessment for your client. If you are in the in-house company and you have hired any consultant, then you have to review that whole double mentality process. If not, you have to tell the your stakeholders what are your stakeholders and other stuff that will be helpful for your compliance and finance team to understand. But this is double materiality assessment, which is a non-financial requirements, which help you to create those kind of stuff. The practice sessions, will it live and will we get a workbooks? Yeah, practice session is going to be live after this question answer. Uh, Can you show us case study? Yeah, definitely. We are going to show see the three case studies quickly after this question answer. Whether the double materiality assessment is based on any standards guideline? No, there is a no particular standard guidelines, but ESRS has also published the double materiality assessment. So in double materiality assessment, you have to decide your stakeholders your own. Methodology is very simple to understand your impact, risk, and opportunity through the particular scoring methodology. Through the quantitative methodology, you can utilize based on your risk, based on your other methodology, but you have to disclose the detailed methodology that how you have gone through the stuff. I will share the detailed methodology in the presentation after this session, so you can go through that particular methodology. And ESRS also have published in 2023, which is before they have done amendment in ESRS and CSRD. So that is also there, but it's a very much detailed version of to understand of the DMA, because it's not up to the mark, and now lots of amendment is already happened and reducing the lots of data points as well. How are the roles and responsibility generally allocated for reporting, or the entire process is handled by the one person? Definitely, if you are in consulting company, then entire process will be handled by as a consultant only, as a one person. You can take help of your executives like chief sustainability officer or chief executive officer or board members, because your stakeholders are part of the board members, part of the senior management. So as a person of ESG professional, you have to contact to your executive members or senior managers or your investors to do an interview and share the templates that you already created for the various questions and answer, whether that material risk is happening or not. And based on that, you can calculate the whole double materiality assessment. But ideally, this process can be done by one person. And if you are smart enough, then it will be helpful for to creating a various types of analysis. Okay, so I hope I answered your questions. If you still have any questions, just type on the chat box. I will check again, and then we will have the question answer session. So as I mentioned, one of the participant that we are going to see the case study or not. So the double materiality in actions, I made a case study presentations. We will see the quickly for banking, energy, and manufacturing sector, that how this double materiality happening for their whole end-to-end journey. So for the case study one, which is a banking sector, first, before that, we can just quickly revise that what we have done. So, inside out, that is part of the impact materiality. That can be nature, people, and society. So, you have to analyze that how your product and your service impact on the nature, people, and society. So the key metrics can be the various types of emissions, energy, and other stuff. Similarly, outside in, which is a financial materiality, which called as a risk, return, capex, cost of capitals, investment, and other stuff. So how your product and how people and products is going to impact on your on your whole operations. So that will impact your financial risk. And overall, if you merge all the together, it will covers the strategic pivot, which is a double materiality assessment, and that is not a compliance, it's a checklist for your transition plan for the whole sustainable journey. So as I mentioned, we will see the banking sector first. So scenario is the large commercial bank, and they are do how double materiality plays out for them to analyze their all overall impact analysis. So first, the portfolio is very heavy financing of fossil fuel projects. That is also cover the large infrastructures, also the agricultures and other stuff, which is invested or giving a loan to the particular projects and particular companies. So the bank finances to the fossil fuel projects, large infrastructures, agriculture business, that is a impact side, inside out. And through the double materiality assessment, the bank is going to identify the material impacts such as finance emissions, as I mentioned here, also the community displacement from the infrastructure projects, because few of the local community does not involve in the particular projects as complained through the local community. Social impact from the SMEs lending practices, so that is also there, and bank also identify that material impacts on that side. And this impact scores high on overall stuff. So the transmissions mechanism is through the finance emissions, community displacement, and output of the financial materiality is higher default risk on carbon intensive client. Also the asset strengthening in fossil portfolio, because it's a fossil fuel emissions, and they have invested in, they have giving the loans and the investment to those kind of fossil portfolio. Regulatory capital pressures, legal liabilities, and reputation damage. These all are the transition risk for them as a bank, and as a transmission channel. They have lost their credits because, for example, HSBC or Lloyd's Bank or the big banks, SBI, they have give the loan and the investment for the coal-based power plant. Then, because of the regulatory, because of the legal liabilities, because of the strengthening assets in few of the countries, it loses the credit cost of the capital and also the access to finance. So this helps to understand what are the impact material for the bank, commercial bank, who is giving a loan or investing to the particular corporate companies if the portfolio is not a sustainable portfolio. Then they have to do a reshaped the lending strategy, that how they can do all the stuff for reshaping their lending strategy. So this impact scores help to scale scope and likelihood related stuff. So the for that they have to do all the materiality assessment related stuff. So now, before that, they do have the Titan criteria that update lending standards to exclude high risk borrowers, target setting, production innovations, rebalancing. Those all stuff they have to do for the lending strategy, and for that they have to do a Titan criteria for uh, lending standard to exclude high risk borrowers like fossil fuel projects or any agriculture projects which used by the high emission area. They have to give the target for the finance emissions to include the reduction target, and product innovations to do a decarbonization journey. Also the rebalancing shift portfolio for the various green assets. So the bottom line is, double materiality assessment moves the discussions from reporting compliance to the fundamental credit score for the commercial bank. And bank is going to be ask each and every corporate companies for the project loans or investment. They will ask this kind of whole criteria and metrics. So that is very important to understand that how it's work for the financial side. And overall, higher default risk on carbon intensive clients is very much affect overall credit loss, cost of capital, and access to the sustainable finance. So both climate and human rights that land into the double materiality zone, and the bank has to be done for tighten the lending criteria and introduce the finance emission targets and other stuff that I mentioned for the various transition finance products. So DMA Direct reshapes lending strategy, not just a reporting part. So this is the banking related case study. If you have any particular questions, because we are going up quickly for the whole case studies, and since we do have also see the practical example in Excel, so I'm going up quickly for the case study. So if you have any questions, just write in the comment box. Then second case study is the energy and operation reality. So for the energy company, that renewable plus conventional energy producer. So the key impact identified for the biodiversity loss near the wind farms, um, the water usage at thermal plants, also the community relations around new projects. So the biodiversity scores high because large land footprint. Also the long-term ecosystem effects through the biodiversity scores high. Difficult to the remediate because it's not happening in a one day. So community relation around the projects is very much important. So overall, it helps. It impact on the financial side, that biodiversity impact that converts into the project approval delays, legal challenges, higher permitting cost, and increase the capex. So overall the stabilities for those kind of things is going to be leads to the plant downtime and reduce the generation capacity and the revenue volatility as well. So that is very understand things that how this things can be suffice and what are the solutions for that. So for that you have to redesign the site selections, adding biodiversity offsets, investing in water recycling because the water scarcity in that particular area, embedding various nature risk into the project appraisal so that the biodiversity and water become a double material topic for them. So overall, environment impact assessment will help to the core driver for the capital, and environment directly affects on the project economics and timelines. So DMA can help to do a capital allocations through this all kind of business actions. Then sector three, which is manufacturing value chain that we are going to see. So uh, here the DMA identifies for the global electronics manufacturing, which supply to various types of across the world. So here DMA identifies the impact of labor condition in supplier factories, e-waste from various products, high scope 3 emissions, which is a very important part for the global supply chain, and worker welfare that score very much high. So that is why large supplier workforce repeatedly asking for the various types of incentives, and repeatedly NGO is also report to the government that this particular companies is not uh, uh, suffice the condition of the labor, and also the media scrutiny is also very much important. So that is affecting to the company's credit and overall the financial hit to supply disruption, brand damage, contract loss with major clients, and overall e-waste regulation is also help impact on the compliance cost, product is redesign expenses, and other stuff. So most the main insight is the most material risk sits outside that direct impact on the operations, which is part of our value chain mapping. So that is very important to understand that how companies introduce the suppliers audits, living wage programs that helps the local community and the overall coastal community, product take back schemes, which is also helpful for them, and circular design standards that helps to understand how it's work for them. So that is very important to understand for the material risks sit outside direct operations, and value chain mapping is very much critical for them. So overall, we have seen the three case studies for the banking sector, banking, energy, and manufacturing sectors. For that, impact and inside out is emissions and rights, biodiversity and water, and labor and e-waste. The transmissions, it means what are the impact of this whole stuff that we have calculated for the inside out, that this is all the qualitative related stuff. We will see the actual calculations in Excel, credit risk or the capital cost, and then capex increase or delays, and then supply disruptions for the manufacturing sector. To mitigate those kind of transmissions, they have to do a transitions finance products, site redesign or recycling, circular design, and living wages, which is part of the overall net zero or the decarbonizations or the sustainable strategy. So the bottom line is very much clear. In every sector, impact creates the financial consequences unless and until if you don't have any strategy to interfere, implement on that ground level. So from compliance to resilience, it is all about deciding what you will become, and use the double materiality assessment to stress test your strategy, uncover the hidden liabilities, and identify the next engine of your value creation. So we will see now the detailed double materiality assessment tool that helps you to understand how you can calculate the double materiality assessment, and we will see the each and every stuff. So let me know once you can see my screen. I'm just sharing my Excel sheet template. I hope now you can see my screen of Excel sheet. Someone can just comment or just send an emoji so that I can have an idea on that side. Okay. Yeah, so this is the practical template that I have created after so many of years of experience, and we have done a lots of analysis through these Excel templates I have shared with various types of corporate companies, and I have built after the double materiality assessment through the various types of standards and framework, and it is very helpful for understand to various types of materiality through the various standards, and it helps to your team. So quickly we will start. I will just introduce the sheets that we are going to see today. So the navigation, which is a home page. So the first sheet is simply the navigations or landing page of the tool. So think of this as your control panel. It shows that the tool is aligned with various types of things, and it shows you the various steps that are covered in this whole sessions end to end. So first is context and scope, value chain mapping, then stakeholder engagement, then step four is the impact identifications, which is part of the potential IROs, which is impact, risk, and operations. Then step five is significant scoring, that how it's help you to understand the significant scoring of IRO scale scope intermediately, and we will see those things. Step six, which is a financial overlay. Step seven, which is validations and reporting based on the ESRS, GRI, or ISSB. And so finally, the charts and summary, you will see that how it's can be auto generated. So that consolidated material risk that ranked by the composite score of impact and financial materiality. So this double materiality assessment tool is aligned with ESRS, GRI, IFRS S1, S2, and also the GRI, ISSB interoperability as well. So you can utilize this tool anywhere, these templates, and you can have a great analysis on that side. So we will see the context, we will see the value chain, we will see the stakeholders engagement, we will see the whole impact, risk, and materiality identification register. We will see the scoring sheets, we will see the financial related stuff through one of the example, and validations, governance, and reporting decision, and finally the charts and summary that how materiality can be visualized on that side. So first quickly we have to start through the context and scope. So in that for the context and scope, you will define your company profile and reporting boundaries. So this is where everything starts, which is a company name, reporting year, how it's work for the industry sector, which is a geographic footprint, uh, the defined scope. Without this, uh, you cannot do a double materiality assessment because it's a meaningless for that. So, for example, a UK retail company and a global manufacturing company will have a completely different material topics. So that is why you have to mention your sector, geography, and your details for the context and guidance. And this sheet sets for the organizational boundary, also the reporting period, sectors classifications, and it also aligns with ESRS requirements for the contextual disclosures. So that helps you to directly copy paste into that particular requirements. So in practice, this is very usually completed by sustainability compliance team at the very beginning of the assessment, which is as a ESG professionals can be done. So the first is a company and reporting profile, also the reporting boundary as I mentioned, and consolidations for those kind of stuff. You can have a standard applicability checklist. So if your company is applicable for ESRS 2, ESRS 1, you have to mention that because ESRS 2, ESRS E1, and other stuff is very much mandatory. So that is why I just mentioned those kind of stuff. Similarly, I also mentioned the other standards that are part of your reporting or the standards. So you can also mention yes or no, and based on the whole analysis. So that is there you have to mention each and every stuff. Here I mentioned the reporting year is 2024. Primarily, I am going to report based on the ESRS, but the secondary framework is GRI and ISSP because of my investors' requirement. I am going to use the double materiality assessment, including the impact plus financial. You can do the both assessment or the single assessment together. And assurance level, that will be the limited one in first year, and then we will do a reasonable one. I know few of the participant is not aware what is limited and reasonable, but we will see in the next coming phases. Then reporting boundaries, which is a full consolidations, operational control boundary, joint venture included or not, supply chain that covers the countries, cities, tier 1 or tier 2 cities, any excluded entities that you have to mention, you can mention the reasons. And similarly, this is the applicability of that. So this is the context and the scope. You can mention each and every stuff for your analysis part, and that helps you to understand the context and scope very well. Then second seat, which is a value chain mapping, which is a second step for the value chain mapping, and it's help you to understand that how it's covered all the value chain from upstream operations and the downstream, and it's giving you the intuitions of value chain activity register. So I'm just increasing the size so you can see better. So here in seat 2, identify where the impact and risk actually occur. So you have to map your upstream operations and the downstream category. Uh, for understanding, you can see the module 9 for the whole module of the scope 3 category. So upstream, that will cover the suppliers, operations, that will part of your direct activities, and downstream, that will cover the customers and the product and life. So for each activity, we are going to capture the geography, we are going to capture whether it's own operation or upstream or downstream, and the key sustainability issue, which is deforestation, water, labor, emission, GHG, social, maybe anti-money laundering for uh, uh, international export import related stuff. So we have to do a segment-wise analysis, which is part of the process. What are the geographic and on operations upstream, downstream? So you have to mention the all stuff here through the various things. I have mentioned already. The segment is upstream. For example, uh, raw material extraction shows risk like deforestation, water use, labor rights. That is a sustainability issue for particular company and products, and the geography and country is multiple. Own operation, it is not a own operation because it's a raw material extraction. So that is why no own operation, it is upstream, and downstream, that is part of the no. So likewise, you can mention each and every things very clearly in the value chain mapping, and it is very easy to do, and you can mention the key sustainability issues as per your point of view, as per your ESG expertise and climate expertise. So we will see that this sustainability issue is important for the other suppliers or not. So that is part of the sheet 3, which is a stakeholder mapping. So, for the stakeholder mapping, the purpose of this engagement and prioritization. So, the stakeholder engagement can be understand through the various templates, through the various interview, through the focus group discussions and other stuff. So, this sheets records stakeholder engagement that we can list it down all the stakeholders group, the categories of financial, social, or anything. Then engagement method, how we are going to engage, which is a focus group, survey, annual meeting, or any offsite or consultations event, or physical events, or webinar, roundtables, or anything. So that is part of the engagement method. Then frequency, how frequent you are going to ask the particular stakeholder, annually, quarterly, ongoing, or anything. Influence scores, interest scores, and how it's work. So this things is very much important, and influence scores and interest scores, which is two scores, which is automatically giving a prioritization score. So influence 1 to 5 and interest 1 to 5. So you can ask to your investor that the key topics you have raised, which is climate and governance, is influence your things or not. So you can add your influence category scores, which is 1 to 5. If you think that climate and governance can influence investors and shareholders. Then you can give the five numbers, which is true because climate change and the governance structure, board members, senior management, can influence your investors and shareholders. Similarly, if you ask to investor and shareholders whether the climate and governance is your part of your interest or not, then they will definitely say yes. So you can ask the exit score for them, or you can also mention the score based on your qualitative conversations with investor and shareholders. So likewise, you can give the scores for influencer as a influence, also the for interest, and for the it will multiplications by the both influence and interest for the prioritization score. So it covers the influence and interest, and if and but I have just mentioned the formula. So prioritization scores will be there. So maximum prioritization scores will be the 20, or it can be the 2025. So it will helpful for you to understand how it's work. Then key topics raised, you already mentioned here in value chain, and you can ask the particular key topics so that you can understand better of that things. Contact person for that whole stakeholder engagement. You can, since it's investors and shareholders, so you can ask CFO, which is a chief financial officer, that you should ask to your investors and shareholders whether this key topics is important for them or not, and the status is active. So this is the way that you can do all the stuff. Here you can see the investor scores high on influencer, and employee score also high on the influence side. So that is helps you to justify why certain voice carry more weight in this assessment. And we can also capture the key topics that you raised: internal contact person status, that I mentioned the few columns at last. So this satisfied the ESRS requirement, GRI requirement, IFRS, ISSB requirements, and to demonstrate the meaningful stakeholder engagement, not just a survey, but documented dialogues. So that helps you to understand and your clients if you are in consulting company, which is a very crucial stuff. Then we will move into the very important part, which is impact, risk, opportunity identification register. So you can see that there are different types of impact registrations can be analyzed through the various types of standards. So create your master impact, risk, and opportunity inventory through this particular S4 sheet, which is IRO sheet, IRO register. So this is the heart of the deep double materiality assessment. So every impact, risk, and opportunity gets an ID, particularly in first column. So you can see that overall ID based on your standards and the metrics name. So for each IRO that we capture, which is ESG pillar, ESRS topic, subtopic, any description, any type, which is impact of positive, negative, then value chain positions, then actual potential of actual or potential of the particular material risk, the time horizon, and the ESRS preference. Similarly, you can also mention the GRI or ISSB or any BRSR requirement or anything. You can mention a lots of stuff here, and based on that, you can mention the requirements of the overall IRO. So here, what we have done is ID is E01 that covers the scope 1 and 2 emissions. So subtopics I mentioned here is the GHG emission scope 1 and 2 from the operations. E02, which is part of this GHG emission scope 3. So these first two things is very important to calculate for every types of small, medium, or large enterprise, to calculate the scope 1 and 2 emissions. So here the IRO descriptions will be the direct GHG emissions from the manufacturing operations, and uh, the scope 3 will be the overall upstream and downstream value chain emission. So you can mention the impact of negative and impact of positive things if it is available or if you understand. Then value chain positions for own operation or value chain, actual, it is definitely affect. Time horizon you can also mention, and the overall reference ID. So that is the impact related stuff. you can mention for the all the environment related stuff. Similarly, you can also mention for the social related stuff. Also mention you can for the governance related stuff. So this all the subtopics, ESRS topics can be your material risk. It might be more, it might be less, but it you have to do all the stuff with your stakeholders and impact analysis for those kind of stuff. Now let's move into the S5 scoring, which is a very important and very interesting stuff, that how this qualitative analysis can be converted into the quantitative analysis. So score impact significance that we are seeing in this impact materiality scoring. So this shifts applies to ESRS, GRI, IFRS, SSB, impact scoring related logics. So here we are going to use 1 to 5 scale. 1 is negligible and 5 is severe. So impact are assessed using scale, scope, likelihood, and intermediate, as I mentioned in the presentation, which is irremediable character. So you can understand the ESG topic IRO descriptions as we see in the impacts. You can just copy paste on that side for the particular column. Then scale, scope, irremediability, likelihood, and stakeholder input score. And overall, we are going to calculate the impact score and impact materiality. So here, the example of the scope 3 emissions, as I mentioned, for the value chain emissions, typically score high on scale of the global, because it's a global things. Also, the scope of many stakeholders are going to be high because it is going to cover lots of value chain, upstream, downstream, and operation part. So they naturally rise on the top. So this is your inside out assessment for the impact materiality, and this score will be calculated through the overall approach on the impact score through the formula that I mentioned in the presentation as well. So it basically average of each and every stuff that we have listed down, and it is the high material because overall magnitude and impact is much more as compared to the other. So that is why it's a high material, and it covers each and every analysis for E, S, and G, and you can see the overall legends here, and it can be part of the overall magnitude, which is a financial impact, also the financial things, and similarly you can have a financial score. This is the composite score of impact score and the financial score. So it round about around the 4, which is kind of average stuff. So this is the very important part of the scoring for ESRS or GRI or ISSB and IFRS. If you want to just do a financial scoring, you can just do this particular 4 column. If you have to do a impact materiality, then you have to do this kind of impact related stuff. And if you have to do a double materiality assessment, then you have a composite score. You have to understand that whole scenario of the double materiality assessment. So finally, we already calculated the impact materiality and the financial material score. The score for the financial you can mention separately if the financial material overlay is required to report separately for the IFRS S1 and S2 and TCFD reporting that early has to be done. So for that also I have add on the particular sheet. So these sheets bring you in IFRS S1 and S2 logics that revenue impact, cost impact, time horizon, probability, and expected value. That risk rating, how it's calculated on that side for the each and every ESG topic for overall risk rating, that high, medium, or low, and probability percentage. So it is the formula as well for the various types of inputs, and you can add the particular value where inputs it's required to do various types of analysis. So which is very important to understand that how it's work on that side of GHG emissions, maybe lead to more carbon taxes and increase the operation cost. So here we estimate the cost range, probability percentage, short, medium, long term, and this is your outside lens because it's a financial materiality assessment. So it answers, will this issue affect your cash flow, capex, or access to finance or not? And finally, S7, the validation, governance, and reporting decision, which is again very important to reporting. So we record sustainability lead review, your chief sustainability officer or anything, and then finance sign off, management approval. So this is extremely important for audit readiness process, and double materiality must not be owned by sustainability alone. So finance and leadership must formally approve these outcomes that you have done. So you can ask to review all the validations that you have given, CFO or CEO sign off, and based on that, you can provide the assessment below for the disclosure decision metrics for the various types of requirement, whether it's assurance required or not. If not required, you can mention that. You can also add the audit trail and change log, date wise and change by and approve by the version wise, so that it's help you to give audit ready material impact assessment to your third party assurance when you have end to end ESG reporting ready. And the finally is the charts, which is a materiality charts that we already calculated. The purpose of this sheets is visualize double materiality, and it helps you to understand how it's work for each and every score. So this sheets automatically fed the double materiality metrics that I already added. Here you can see the overall IRO topics that we covered, all the IRO topics earlier. Impact score from the particular scoring S5 sheets, financial score and the composite score. What are the E, S, and G pillar? Materiality quadrant, which is a high priority impact led or anything kind of stuff. So priority rank will be there given by based on the score automatically. And also you can see the various types of charts that helps you to add on your report. So this is the x-axis that is covers the impact score, and y-axis which is financial score. So you can add this whole report for the based on the bubble site. You can add the composite score for each IRO. Each IRO is plotted visually for the particular report. And then another report for the 8.2, which is a stakeholder priority heat map. So what are the top 10 topics which is have a huge amount of composite score? So you can mention this in your ESG report at the end. So each IRO is plotly visually available, and quadrant shows that high priority impact led and the financial led, and the overall impact score, financial score, composite score, impact material, financial material, that helps you to understand the create the high impact, high financial, and you can mention the overall stuff into that whole sheets in the chart. So you can see the top 10 topics of score comparisons of circular economy, waste generations, pollutions, water, biodiversity, climate. Here you can see the biodiversity is very much important for the average stakeholder score, which means employees, other nature or silent stakeholders and other stuff. And similarly, water waste generation is also important for those kind of stakeholders. So you can check out those requirements, and based on that, you can list it down the top 10 topics. And finally, this table, the master materiality result that ranked your impact, risk, and opportunity. So the contact is the spreadsheets monitor the entire double materiality. So this sheets giving you the impact score, financial score, composite score, impact material is yes or no or high or no. Then financial material, disclosable material or not, and priority ranking. For example, here you can see that climate of GHG scope 1 and 2 is high impact and high financial. So marked as a yes for the potential of the disclosure, and priority is critical for that. So that is very much important for that stakeholder engagement requirements. And overall, you can finish with this whole spreadsheet that mirror the entire double materiality so context that we already seen in the whole journey. And this context covers the value chain, stakeholders, IROs, impact scoring, financial overlay, validations, visualizations, final results. And overall, it provides the audit trail, regulatory alignment, financial integrations, and strategic priorities. So, most importantly, it converts ESG into decision ready business intelligence, and you are not part of any kind of mass manual work or any kind of stuff, because it's a template ready, and similarly it's kind of software based stuff. So it is very important to develop this kind of spreadsheets. I have developed these spreadsheets through the various types of experience and through the various types of requirements. I have assessed all types of ESRS, GRI, IFRS, and all the material risk assessment. And then I have created this kind of whole double materiality assessment. So if you are interested and to access this whole uh, double materiality assessment template, then I'm going to share the link here. You can access uh, here, and also I'm going to pin this comment so you can see the particular Excel template sheet, which is a very minor cost on that side. So if you are interested to access this whole double materiality assessment tool, which I call as a TMA tool, you can go and check and access the whole tool. I will also share this whole session presentations after this session, so that you will have the whole data ready for inputs on that double materiality assessment tool. I will share the detailed presentations, case study presentations after this whole session. So now, if you have any particular questions on this Excel template, feel free to ask. And if you have any particular questions on double materiality side or any other questions, feel free to ask in the chat box. We will have the 5 minutes and then we will close this session. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the session. Thanks everyone. If you have any question, you can just ask and let me know and in the chat box. Thanks, Sandeep, for your active participation in every modules. That's great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay, great. So I can see one of the question. Uh, yeah, presentation is going to be shared after this session. I will share the presentation. Okay, great. So we will end the session here. It's 4:30 in UK time, so we are going to end this session. And if you have any particular questions, just feel free to reach out to my team, and we will have most interactive sessions, and we will try to engage you in ESG, climate, and sustainability field together, and we will have a big communities initiatives coming up. Thank you so much. Very helpful for. Thank you. Thank you for your kind appreciation words, and we will have we will see you in next module. Thank you. Thank you everyone. Bye.